Hello, Roymithril here once again, getting back to Mag Mammal 2, and it's time for the judge commentary on the last two stages of Tier 5. So, starting with 44th place, AWD42's AD2101. Snare and Pyro. It's an unfocused string of ideas kind of level. There's no real theme to anything, and there's basically no difficulty curve. It's just setups that exist. I do like some of the setups, like how the Mausubiel interacts with the Yoku blocks near the beginning, and the sliding on the spin platform setup right at the end, but the rest just feels there. The quick laser drops are just the ones from Quickman's stage, but slightly tweaked, though I'll admit I found it really funny how you made the second one be in reverse grav for no reason. The boss is pretty dumb because it's a pretty blatant edit of Pharaoh Man, but more annoying because he deals more damage and shoots more projectiles. Though the dialogue before the fight was pretty funny, but, yeah, it's just really a messy, unfocused level overall. Also, memes. Jupe Hornet. That was a weird level, but it was kind of fun. It was like a mashup of Plugman's and Quickman's stages, with elements from others thrown in. I appreciated how the force beam sections had enough of a delay that the player could react without having to memorize the level. I liked the use of the Yoku blocks, but the last puzzle was really hard compared to the rest of the level. The boss was cool, but it felt like its hitbox wasn't big enough. A lot of my shots seemed to go through its head. Angel. This level is kinda all over the place, with the only reoccurring theme being the quick lasers. I hadn't recognized the second segment as such, causing a death the first time I arrived there. Upon closer inspection, it turns out that that section is just upside down Quickman stage, so yeah. Despite its lack of direction, the stage still was fun, with some neat challenges scattered throughout. I'm not a biggest fan of the dialogue at the end, finding it more distracting and awkward than funny, but shrugs. There's also a somewhat broken ladder near the first checkpoint. I wonder what happened there. Quarry. I really like what the author did here. The Quickman sections were used in a creative way, and I like the other ideas here. However, the boss is just a lazy clone of Pharaoh Man. Anyway, moving along, the level design is fairly solid, with fair enemy and obstacle placement. However, the stage just isn't super interesting. Regardless, it was definitely a fun level. And ACESpark. Zero Wing and Mega Man, who'da thunk it? Did you go on an archaeological dig to get this meme, buddy? Gods, yeah, it was a thing back when I was in high school. The stage is pretty solid overall, but some of it is questionable. Namely, why'd you just straight up copy the layout of Quickman? Did you think we wouldn't notice? You're supposed to submit your own work. Copy pasta aside, the new sections of the stage aren't half bad. I just wish there were more of those rather than the filler. I have very few complaints about the rest of the stage. The combination of the gravity flip and concrete platforms is actually rather neat. The level should have straight up had more of this kind of thing. Graphically, there's some major weirdness going on. Zero Wing, 16-bit shooter, and Mega Man do not work well together. Finally, there's your boss. Pharaoh Cats is a snippy concept, but not quite sharp enough in execution. He needed some more modifications than he currently has to be a fun fight. Randomly thrown rolling cutters don't really cut it, and he's not the sort of character who tries to make paper dolls out of Mega Man. Anyway, so this battle isn't quite the cutting edge that Cats as a character deserves. I know he wasn't exactly a cut above the rest in his source game, but surely the meme lord status of this guy should have meant going all out on the boss, and I was really hoping the battle would have been a sheer delight, rather than the blunted edge that it currently is. Gods, and they say I'm bad about puns. Wow. So, this stage, it was pretty okay. Yeah, I'm always a little weird about just blatantly copying part of a stage because, like I've said before, I'm guilty of doing that with a bonus stage I did for the MaGLX 2 contest, where I did my bonus stage that was basically recreating Jewel Man's stage in SMBX. There is the argument that I created something in an engine that it wasn't originally designed for, had to translate it to work there, but yeah, so I always feel a little bit weird about calling out something that's just blatantly copying. It at least did some interesting things, like it tucked that little sheep block segment in the first one, and the second one being upside down was really funny for some reason to me. But yeah, the Cats fight, it did just feel kind of weird, and I think I did notice some of those hitbox issues that Jupe Hornet was talking about. And next we had 43rd place, Quarry Blue's Starman Recreation. Snare and Pyro. Extremely inoffensive, and that's probably all it has going for it. The level just exists. There's nothing I hate about it, but there isn't anything I really like about it either. The Galaxy Man portal section is probably the best part about it, but that's really only because it's the closest to really doing something. The way to get the third Noble Nickel is kind of clever. Other than that, it just exists. There's Mega Man 5 enemies, the occasional Fan Fiend, the occasional Crystal Spawner, and that's really it. Jupe Hornet. This is one of those levels that didn't do much of anything apart from existing. There's nothing else to really say about it. Angel. Some interesting ideas here, but I feel like their execution could use some work. I found myself having a lot of trouble with the enemy placements, in some places taking hits across the screen, and in other places walking through somewhat empty areas. The way the falling crystals are introduced is something I don't like, since many players will take a hit from the first one if they don't know what's coming. I like your use of the teleporters. Inverting the gravity is a clever idea, and I wish you would have done more with it. Overall, I found this level to be rather engaging, though it lacks balance and needed some more direction in order to truly stand out. Quarry. I'll be honest, for a Starman recreation, I was expecting a total rip-off of Starman's stage, but I was fairly impressed by the original stage layout. Putting that aside, there's nothing particularly amazing about this level. The level design is okay, with some parts of the level requiring waiting for an enemy to lower its defenses, and a few places where the Noble Nickel is placed in an inconvenient spot. Other than that, there's just nothing to say, to be honest. And ACESpark. I was a bit confused by the first few rooms and their lack of scrolling. I was expecting a repeat of Midnight Snow from Mag Mammal 1. Thankfully, this level was not that. Decent level overall, and good use of the Galaxy Man teleporters. The use of Crystal Man's gimmicks and enemies are a little odd, though. The stage looks and sounds boring, and not helped by the tiling being a more generic version of Starman's original level, and a remix of Starman's theme would have served you better than straight up using the original. Some of the later screens have really stupid enemy placement. There is one jump in particular that is infuriating, involving a Crystal Man crystal, that's a redundant name if I've ever heard one, and a toss machine. This jump is ridiculous. There are other random difficulty spikes throughout the stage too, mostly involving spikes, funnily enough. The Noble Nickel placement was pretty well handled, although the second one is a little on the hard side to survive. As good as the Galaxy Man teleporters are, I feel more could have been done to gel everything together and give a nice final climactic room to the level with the gimmicks mixed together. This level ends of a bit of a low note, really, which is a shame because the rest is fine. The boss corridor and no proper boss climax doesn't help. It's a shame when signature robot masters don't show up to their own levels. So the judges didn't seem to have a lot of the problems I did really here, like no one specifically called out the fact that the crystal droppers had no tell that they were there, really. And also, no real problem with that third Noble Nickel. I still really feel like that would have been better if you could have gone back if you missed it the first time instead of having to kill yourself each time. There was no warning that you were going to get flipped upside down, so I still really don't know how I feel about that one. But anyway, that's where we're going to call it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I shall see you again next time. Until then, fare thee well.